YouTube? Welcome back. This is the Allegheny Northern in N scale. And I know you were probably thinking I was going to leave you without a video this week, but it is not the case. I know some of the other YouTubers are taking some hiatus during the summer, and believe me, I don't blame them one iota because, and I know you've heard this before, but doing content actually can be a lot sometimes. And so it's nice to take a break and get back to some other things. And in my case, those other things were annual summer vacation. So off to the coast I was for about 10 days. And that cost me 2 weekends in the train room. But I got to tell you, they were 2 weekends totally worth it. And the weather was fantastic. And the beach was beautiful. And the seafood was amazing. And, well, it's sad to come back to reality, but because I'm back to reality here, that means we have some train videos to do and some train stuff to talk about. So let's get into that right now. Okay, so before we get too far into this, let's cover the elephant in the room, and that was in the July layout update. I sort of mused about expanding the layout. And so my first task was, when I returned from the beach, was to sit down and actually do some figuring here. And as far as the figuring that I got was, I figured out what my layout current configuration is, what size everything is, how big the track layout was, how the bench work was configured, what I can move, what I couldn't move, and sort of just kind of doing some really early pre-gaming. And I did what we like to call in the industry as-built drawings. So I wrote down and measured what exactly is in place and put it on some paper so that I knew exactly what dimensions I was dealing with and what I had to work with. So that is going to expand into its own little video series. And I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to see that progress in updates, and there's going to at some point be a full series of here's how I started with the bench work, here's how I did the wiring, here's how I did the track work, here's how I did the scenery, and now look, here's trains. So I think it's going to be, you're going to kind of see the end result probably before I get into the how-to on everything. I haven't laid that out yet either, but this is a long time in coming. So I don't want everyone to think that that's going to be a video that you're going to see anytime soon. It's something that's coming, something that I'm working on. So just to play that a little bit of, keep you guys excited in the channel, so to speak, that is going to be coming, because I'm pretty sure right now I have decided that this layout needs to expand. It's a twofold expansion. One is because, well, who doesn't want more trains if they can? And the other one is because, well, there are some operational items on the layout that have just made, now that I'm actually operating the layout more than I am building it, it's just, it needs to happen in order for the layout to continue to function as I need it to. Okay, so that being said, we are in the final weeks of summer, and for somebody who despises the hot weather to begin with, no, except when I'm on vacation, but somebody who despises the hot weather to begin with, this is my favorite time, because we are on the downward slide of the hot temperatures, and the 80s and the 90s are going to go away and get replaced by 60s and 70s, and I could not be happier. Now, for those of you who disagree with me, that's fine. Disagree with me all you want. I quite frankly do not care, because it's been too damn hot. So, but folks sort of take a break from model railroading in the summer, and rightfully so, because there's just so much to do. You're outside. There's picnics. There's parties. There's holidays. My family has a lot of birthdays in the summer, and so there's stuff associated with that. There's summer vacations and house repair work, all kinds of stuff. You're outside more, and so there's less time to do model railroading. Okay, so what are some things that we're actually going to be looking at doing here? And this is a prime example of some stuff that I need to fix on the layout, because you're looking trackside here, and you see how these trains are running behind the back, so the main line is way behind all the scenery. Yeah, that's great, except for the trains are passing in front of a transfer yard that I need for my coal operation, and I got to reach past all this scenery to get to it. So, where are you most likely to have a derailment? Yeah, in a yard on a yard ladder. My yard ladder is almost inaccessible, and yeah, just not a great setup. And to be honest, it made sense before the upper deck was put on. So before this part here was put on, it made sense when it was a table and you were actually standing on the other side of this, and it made sense before all the scenery was put in. And this really goes to why planning this stuff out is a good idea. So just gonna fix some problems, but all of that coming up in separate videos. Okay, so what we do want to talk about today is a couple of things. One is social media in general, and I've had this question asked multiple times, and so I figured I might as well just address it sort of once and for all. I do not have any social media outside of YouTube, and that is a personal choice because, quite frankly, social media is probably one of the most toxic things that's going on right now in our culture, in my opinion, because it gives everybody a chance to become an expert in absolutely everything, and it is annoying, maybe. I'm sure, depending on what socials you all follow, whatever event happens in the world, suddenly everyone is an expert in that event. And, boy, I just can't take it. So, and I know I could use it just for model railroading, but once you're on there, you just sort of get drawn in. And quite frankly, I don't have the time to waste for that because it would take away from what I'm doing down here and other things. And, yeah, just not going to do it. So, but I am going to do something, I think, because I think it's almost necessary, and that is to open up an email account that is just for the railroad. So once I do that, I will let you guys know what it is, so that if you have a question, you can direct email me that question. Because, and this is not a problem, so if you did this, I don't want you to feel ashamed, but sometimes you will be watching a video, and let's say that video is a review of a locomotive, which I am going to have a review video coming up, because on its way to me early part of this week is 2 SD40-2s from Scale Trains in Conroe Livery, and I told you they were coming. They came in, I thought it was September, but apparently they came in August. So I know we already reviewed all the other Scale Trains SD40-2s, but you're going to see 2 more, and I think that's going to be it for a while, unless I go to the N-Scale weekend in Altoona and I find a good deal on more, then maybe there'll be more. But right now, I think we're going to be done with locomotives. I think. Okay, anyway. So, you see this video and you go, oh, hey, I see you did this thing with your scenery in the background, or I see this car, or I see this other locomotive in your shot, and I'm curious about it. So you ask on that video, and it doesn't really pertain to the video, but it's something that you saw, and then you ask me about it, and then we start a whole other conversation. That's totally fine. But I think some people maybe don't ask questions because they're like, well, I want to ask this question about this thing, but, it's not really what the video is, and I don't want to be like that guy or that girl. And feel free to be that guy or that girl and comment. I don't care. As long as it's model train relevant, I'll pretty much answer you. And but I think if there's a direct email link where maybe your comments aren't public to everybody, that more people will ask questions. And quite frankly, that's why YouTubers do YouTube, is so that we can interact with the community. And so if you're not feeling like you can interact with the community, then we're sort of not getting where we need to get to. Now, to that end, my other major social media sort of gripe is that these videos take a long time to produce. You're seeing the final product. So you're seeing it after I reviewed it, after I've edited it, after I've maybe put music to it or graphics, or, spent hours recording and re-recording because, well, I get a car that derails mid-shot, or I get a short circuit. Sometimes I know why, sometimes I don't. Or just maybe I say something and I go, you know what, I could have said that better, or I don't want to say that, or whatever. And so by the time you take and retake an average 15-minute video is usually a couple of hours of work that I'm taking out of doing whatever else I would be doing, which is usually modeling something. And so when you think about that, there's a lot of effort that myself and all YouTubers put into their content. And so when I hear that, a channel has gone on a break, or they're taking a break, and you don't know if they're going to come back or not. Sometimes they just tell you, hey, I'm taking a couple of week break and I'll be back. Or sometimes they tell you, you know what, I'm done, I've decided not to do this anymore. I understand that. Now, I would never abandon you like that. I'm not that kind of person. Okay, I'm not making fun of everybody, but yeah, but seriously, I try not to take a break just because it kind of keeps us together, and so we continue to hold the discussions online about what we're doing here. And it's not just about this railroad, but it might be about your railroad and what you're trying to do and what you're trying to accomplish. And so when you guys share your little tidbits of information, like things that you're doing on your railroad and stuff that you've purchased and stuff that you have coming, I find that very interesting, because that's a conversation, right? So I may not always reply to those comments, because sometimes there's nothing I can say to it. But believe me, I read them all and I see them all, and I like seeing what you guys are doing, because it's cool to see what other folks have as their ideas. And the other thing that is really fun about social media is the people who are on here basically just to make a mess of things. And they will troll, and they will say comments, and sometimes they're well-meaning and they come across as trollish, and sometimes they're not well-meaning. They're just out there to stir the pot. And I find those folks amusing. And what I want you all to know is, if I troll you back, it's fun for me, because I imagine the other person getting all excited and all worked up, and then there's me who's just having fun with it. This is not my career. This is a hobby that I share with you, and so I take it very lightly and very, very fun. And so now I do have a word of caution for those of you who are drifting off into the socials. And it's interesting because typically, just looking at the demographics of this channel, the demographics are largely male, like 98%. It's males that are watching this, and that doesn't surprise me at all. This does not seem to be a very large female-driven market. And then the next thing that doesn't surprise me at all is most of the males and most of the audience, you guys are, you're not spring chickens anymore. That's the nicest way I can put it. And this hobby, modeling in general, typically draws an older crowd, and I think that's becoming more and more obvious because, well, kids can't put the screen down anymore. And I know there's something hypocritical about that, because I'm talking to a screen right now and you're watching it on the screen right now. But we're watching stuff that we did by hand, so maybe it's better. But a lot of kids do not get into this, and it's interesting. And I think that for you guys watching the video, I don't know about you, but if I don't see the person who's actually talking, I start imagining what they look like and how old they are and everything like that. And I'm betting most of you are probably thinking that I am in a much older age bracket than I am. And I can tell you that I'm not. I'm probably one of these very rare exceptions of a younger person in model railroading. And so I'm not in my 40s yet. Okay, so just in case you were thinking that I was one of the old guys, I may act like it, I may sound like it, but I am not it. And it's kind of fun because I see a lot of folks who are older running these channels, and they've got wives, kids, mortgage, all this other stuff. And so I'm impressed with those folks with what they can put out, because once again, we go back to how much time these videos take to put together, and the effort that goes into it. And let's face it, model railroading is not an inexpensive hobby. And I know that there are ways to do some things on a budget, but in general, it is both money and time, you know, extensive, and if you don't have either resource, then you just can't put out what other content creators can. So it's just one of them things. I don't know what else to tell you, but it's one of those things. And so I think what I'm going to do in upcoming videos to sort of get in touch with you guys a little bit better is I'm going to try to offer some budget-friendly ideas when they are available for whatever it is that we're doing, just to try to help some of the community get on track with that. Okay, so all of that being said, for social media and for everything else, this is going to be our little safe haven here to talk about model railroading stuff. And yes, I may every now and then add a little commentary about something that's happening in the world, like you folks in the UK, y'all all right over there? Because it doesn't sound like y'all all right over there. So, give us if you're from the UK, give a shout out. Want to know that y'all are all right. But anyway, in general, this is a great place for us to communicate, and it's probably the best platform for us to communicate. So we're gonna stay on here, and that'll be it for the socials. I enjoy the commentary that you guys put on, whether we're trolling each other or whether it's actual productive commentary. And all of you have different insight that you bring. And like I said, if I haven't commented on your comments, that doesn't mean I didn't read them. I just may not have had something to comment on, or didn't have the time, and they just sort of get lost, as we go. But it's all good stuff, and you all bring something to it, to the table. And when I read your comments, if it's something that is thought-provoking, I do actually do the research, and I will verify what you said. And so if I comment on it, make sure, believe me, I'm not shooting from the hip. I've done a little bit of research before replying, and then my response is based on either a combination of my opinion plus what I found, or there's at least some thought into it. I'm not just making things up typically. Sometimes I do, just it's fun, but not usually. So I think bringing this whole thing home is I have a lot of fun doing this channel. It takes a lot of time, and so I ask for those folks that take their summer breaks and they get away from model railroading. That's totally understandable, because even if you're not doing content, sometimes you need that break, and you need to reset, and you need to not think about trains. It's almost like having a writer's block, and you sort of get stuck. But the problem is, when you finally get unstuck, you do something like I did, and you decide to expand your entire layout into a layout twice the size that it is, and boy, that really changes the dynamic. So I hope you all are looking forward to coming on this journey with me as we go into this. So, like I said, I just wanted to cover socials here a little bit, because I've had several people ask on several videos over the last season here about other socials, and I just don't have any, and so I wanted to address that. But I did want to mention that I am planning on setting up an email account so that we that's going to be it for us here this week. And as always, feel free to leave your comments, your likes, your dislikes, whatever it is. Post it down below. Let the whole community see it. That way we can all talk about it, and we can put out better content for you guys. And as always, I would encourage you, if there's anything that you want to see, particularly, go ahead and make a comment down below. In fact, that would actually be a great way for us to do this. Make a comment down below, and that way I know some topics that you guys are interested in, and I can include those on some future videos. And that way I'm making sure that we're staying true to what you guys want to see.